Are you a business owner stuck in fear, doubt, and worry about what the marketplace will look like in the future? Then this show is for you. Strap on your seatbelt and get ready to disrupt and innovate. Here's your host, Lisa Levy.
Today on Disrupt and Innovate, we're joined by Donovan Pyle, CEO of Health Compass Consulting, author of Fixing Healthcare, and a health insurance whistleblower who's exposing how brokerage blind spots are costing employers over $300 billion a year. He's been named Validation Institute's 2025 Benefits Advisor of the Year. Donovan helps mid-sized companies, yes, just like yours, save money an average of $1,800 per employee annually. His insights appear in Employee Benefits News, Benefits Pro, and SHRM. Today, he's here to reveal what executives and owners can do right now to stop the waste and reclaim control of their employee benefits. Donovan, welcome to the conversation.
Lisa, thanks for having me.
I am thrilled to have you here. Talking about healthcare is always something that, as an industry, is interesting to me, but to this audience, benefits, it's something that we all want to provide. We want to give the best that we possibly can to our employees. And sometimes it's a really painful experience, and it's also a really painful expense. So tell us what it is that you're doing today and why it's so important now.
Yeah, so let's flip the script a little bit. Let's turn healthcare frustration into a strategic advantage. How's that?
Love it.
Okay, so just to level set for your audience, last year, U.S. employers spent $1.3 trillion covering about 164 million Americans, that's about 50% of the population, with healthcare benefits. But here's the opportunity. About 25% of what they spent, $325 billion, was completely wasted. Okay, that's $4,000 per employee last year that was completely wasted. It's unsustainable and it's unnecessary. So that's really the problem that companies like mine are looking to solve and are solving. And that's really the thesis for why I wrote the book, Fixing Healthcare, How Executives Can Save Their People, Their Business, and the Economy. It lays out the 6-step roadmap that executives need to reclaim.
All right. So you teed it up for me, Donovan. I can't help but ask the question, Donovan, what are the 6 steps?
Okay, well, the first one is most critical, and that is getting unbiased advice. Most businesses rely on benefits brokers, thinking that benefits brokers are in the business of helping them maximize their investment. That is a critical mistake. Benefits brokers are not in that business. That's not why the industry was developed. The industry was developed to serve as retail distribution for health insurers and pharmacy benefit managers. They make more money when your costs go up, not down. Relying on them to manage your healthcare supply chain and give you financial advice does not work, obviously.
Absolutely. And so number 1, what else have we got in there in those 6 steps?
Sure. So after you get unbiased advice, and we can certainly elaborate on how you can do that, you want to quantify your current state, right? How are you performing as an organization in the 7 key categories of benefits value? How are you scoring compared to your peers? And once you see the opportunities after quantifying the value equation, then you can set goals, develop roadmaps to achieve those goals, and execute on that vision. But you have to have clarity on how to do it, and you have to have the right quarterback helping you achieve those objectives.
I guess I'll just own it. I don't know that I knew that it was possible to get the kind of data that would tell me how I'm performing with my business and the benefits as opposed to my peers, my competitors, anybody else in the sector. That's powerful information that I'm wagering most businesses don't know that they can get a hold of.
It's really incredible. When you think about every other area of business, companies have key performance indicators, they have multi-year strategies, they have roadmaps, they develop all kinds of planning. They have a blueprint for we're going to plan the work and then we're going to work the plan. And when it comes to healthcare, there is this disconnect. And I think it's certainly not business's fault. It's the fault of the insurance industry. The insurance industry, and trust me, I worked on the carrier side of the business. I worked on the brokerage side of the business. I know how the narrative works. When you're told over and over again that, hey, healthcare costs just go up every year, there's not a whole lot you can do about it other than raising deductibles and passing more costs on to your employees. Well, from an executive's perspective, I say if there's not a whole lot I can do about this problem, I don't need to be in this meeting anymore. HR, you go take care of it. Let me know what you think. Give me your best recommendation, and we'll just move on with our lives.
And that is a dangerous series of assumptions that were just made.
Yes, yes. And so the insurance industry has been masterful in lowering expectations amongst employers to their own financial benefits. Okay. Again, health insurers are wholesale distribution partners for hospitals, and brokers are the retail distribution partners for health insurers. And so they both make more money when costs go up, not down. This is why delegating the management of your healthcare supply chain to those vendors does not work. And so, here's a key takeaway, Lisa, that I think a lot of people get confused by. A lot of people think that health insurers actually take on risk. It's really not true. It is the employer and the employees who pay for all the hospitalizations, the surgeries, the labs, the imaging, the drugs. Now, here's the opportunity though. I'm in Orlando, Florida. Healthcare prices in Orlando, Florida vary percent. I mean, you can't think of any other industry where you've got such price variance because you actually have market signals. You have prices that are readily available. And so you have much more efficient marketplaces. But in healthcare, the whole legacy industry is designed to hide the price. So, for example, I just got an MRI for myself a few weeks ago. I'm fine. But I paid $400 because I know how to buy an MRI. That, in my same neighborhood in downtown Orlando are buying MRIs on a daily basis for over $4,000 for the same exact thing. It's totally unnecessary. You got to put yourself in a position where you can see your supply chain. Once you can see it, and once CFOs actually get visibility to this price variance and these opportunities, they get excited about this because it's like, wow, we would never let our employees go pay $300 for a gallon of gas when they can go down the street and get that same gallon of gas for $3? Why are we doing this with our second or third largest expense?
Absolutely. And let's talk about where we're at in this a little bit, right? Price transparency in healthcare is an oxymoron for all intents and purposes. Your MRI example, I can do one that's very simple, similar with imaging, that they accidentally tried to bill an old insurance company and sent me a bill for $1,800, and I really owed them $180 as a cash pay. As a cash pay, right? $180, but they were going to bill an insurance company $1,800. Right? That right there sort of explains that it's broken fundamentally because yes, but actually getting access to understanding the numbers and what's real is very challenging. And we've just gone through, or the time in the year we're recording this, it's sort of the November timeframe, right? So we're in open enrollment and all of those things are happening. But over the past month, all that conversation about rates are going up, health insurance, healthcare costs are going up. The big joke in all of this is all of the rates for 2026 were set 9 months ago, not 30 days ago, not 45 days ago, when the media started playing with, oh my gosh, government shutdown, all of these things impact the costs. And it's really all a lot of hot air.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I stopped watching the news in 2016. I think it has negative value, to be honest with you. So I just checked out. And every time I happen to just check in to kind of be able to have a conversation like this, they're always talking about the wrong things. They're talking about the individual market. And the individual marketplace, sure, that's all good and fine, but that's 5% of the population. The Affordable Care Act influences 164 million Americans with healthcare benefits. And yet nobody talks about that. Nobody in Washington, D.C. talks about that. Nobody in the media talks about that. And that's why I'm talking about it, because it's so important. This is why I wrote the book, to clarify to business owners, hey, listen, you already have the power. You don't need any action from Washington, D.C. to solve a lot of these problems. Here's what you can do right now to manage your P&L in this year.
So what are some of those things? Let's get into the good stuff because we can go down a rabbit hole, but that
Yes.
doesn't actually give us actionable advice. So how do they leverage the power that they have?
Okay, so here's the thing. No one's forcing them to work with vendors whose financial interests are diametrically opposed to theirs. Okay? So here's the thing. Once you get unbiased advice, once you replace your benefits broker, your commission salesperson with a fiduciary-based management consulting firm like mine, there are lots of us in the marketplace and they're more growing every day. You're going to be exposed to a whole new world of solutions and strategies. This is like mind-blowing for executives. The first time they see this, for example, most of your audience has probably been convinced, they've been told for decades, hey, there's only 3 or 4 options. You either self-fund or you fully insure and you're done. That's it. That's couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is that the marketplace of strategies and solutions, it's huge. It's a very and dynamic marketplace. And so then the question becomes, okay, well, wow, there's a lot of different options here. What's right for us, right? And so you have to have this is where high quality consulting really comes into play to help them navigate this very dynamic marketplace and say, okay, here's the right vendor stack solution set that really helps us support our objectives as a business, right? Like how does your benefits program support your human capital strategy? How does your human capital strategy support your business objectives, right? Like now we're like getting into real strategy conversations, not just talking about picking the lowest, the cheapest option on a spreadsheet. It's a different mindset.
So can you describe for us what some of that beautiful set of offerings looks like, how it is so different than what we're traditionally used to or that we've become accustomed to seeing as our only
Yeah, 100%. So just a quick story. When I left the brokerage industry and founded a fiduciary-based management consulting firm, we actually serve as a fiduciary to the employer, to the client. So we are legally obligated to give them financial advice that's in their best interests. Our job is to protect the employer from the insurance and medical industrial complex, not to be retail distribution for it. Okay. So when I had my first client, a technology company in South Florida, they'd been around for about 35 years and they'd always been shown those 4 options, right? You either self-fund or you fully insure with those 4 different options. And I said, listen, after a year of educating their leadership, I said, listen, what we can actually do is build a bespoke solution to actually help you maximize your investment, right? So rather than just, for example, working with a big 3 pharmacy benefit manager whose financial interests are diametrically opposed to yours as an organization, what we can do is we can actually select a PBM, a pharmacy benefit manager, who also embraces fiduciary responsibility, right? And so it's a different value proposition. So we built them a bespoke solution. We saved them over $3,000 per employee that year, got them better network access, better benefits. It was a win for the employees. It was a win for the organization. And that following year, guess what? They finally got an offer to be acquired after 35 years of being in business at a multiple that they loved. Okay, so like this was like great proof of concept. When benefits professionals are free and liberated to actually act to in the best interest of the employer without outside influence from insurance companies and pharmacy benefit managers, they can really help maximize that investment, protect the employees, protect the financial and physical health of the organization.
And that's fabulous. And what some of the things I think that I heard in that, right? You curated their physician network, their pharmacy solutions, right? The things that we think are done for us by those others that are in it only to increase their bottom line and their profit margin. But by curating specifically for the needs of a specific employee group, you were able to give, I'm going to wager, significantly better quality care, access to physicians probably more easily and readily, and at a lower cost point, but they were getting higher level quality of treatment.
100%. They had been forced into a very narrow network for about 10 years. And we said, no, there's a different way to go about this. In fact, some of the high cost claimants were able to access higher quality providers because they chose those options. We actually waived all of their out of pocket responsibility for being better consumers and taking care of themselves.
Huge impact for the employer, but for each of the individual employees and their quality of life. What a fantastic experience as an employee to work for a company that is actually making the decision to actually care and not just accept that what the way we've always done it and the way we've been told to the only way we've been told to do it, challenging that and understanding that it is absolutely not in any of our best interest.
Yeah, and it's all about awareness. I mean, we have to be empathetic for the employers. They only know what they know, right? I mean, I don't want to have to keep up as a CEO. I don't want to have to keep up with you changing US tax policy every year. I hire a CPA to take care of that for me. And the CPA works for me. But in healthcare, the CPA, to use our metaphor, gets paid by the IRS. So it doesn't make any sense. So most businesses don't even know that organizations like mine or others in the marketplace that actually serve as a fiduciary are even out there. They don't even know to Google for that. And so, that's a real opportunity. That's why I'm going on 3 podcasts a day trying to raise awareness around these things because it's a $300 billion a year opportunity hiding in plain sight.
Absolutely. And going back to, a point that you made at the very beginning, last year, roughly $4,000 per employee was wasted in our economy. That is just horrifying.
It really is. I mean, not to get too serious here, but honestly, we're trying to avoid political disruption, right? When countries run out of money, bad things happen. I mean, if you study, anyone who studies the history on this knows that. And so, if we're going to solve our political problems, we have to improve the financial and physical health of our population. Quentin, pardon me one second. So, this is why this is such an important opportunity. And again, you're doing such a great service to the citizens of our country by even talking about this on your podcast. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, no one's talking about this in the media. I mean, I just pitched an op-ed to multiple news outlets, and they passed on it. And I don't know, maybe it's just not sensational enough. I don't understand. But you know what? We don't even need the traditional media. We've got so many people that are looking for what the reality actually is, and there's other ways to go about it. So I'm glad you're focused on this topic.
Absolutely, Donovan. I am thrilled to talk about this because disrupting the norms, trying to make a positive impact is the core of what this show is all about. And providing quality healthcare at a reasonable cost to employers and their employee base will change everything for businesses. So, if you have piqued the interest and the curiosity from members of the audience, how do they learn more? Where do they go?
Sure, they can go to fixinghealthcare.com, download the free executive summary of my book. It gives you the roadmap on how to actually exercise the power that you already have, right? Executives have always had the power. They just haven't had the clarity on how to exercise that power. And so that's why I wrote the book. Now, listen, for the employees listening, if you're fed up with rising healthcare costs, if you're fed up with stagnant wages, download the executive summary of my book, give it to your boss, right? They have the power to actually solve these problems. Give it to your boss and let them run with it.
Donovan, thank you for that. The link will be in the show notes for everybody to have easy access to that. And thank you for your time in the conversation today and talking through the roadmap of how we know, and you're educating and sharing that executives and owners have the power to make a difference in how they procure health insurance and health coverage for their employees. And what they think are the only options are the least impactful options and the worst ones for their business because they
In
are
many
being
cases.
presented to them by brokers who only make money as costs go up. They do nothing to actually help you lower your expenses or provide higher quality services for your employers. It is absolutely imperative that you understand that you can seek out the counsel from an unbiased advisor, somebody who can actually be a consultant for you on a fiduciary basis, so that they are helping you make decisions that are in your best interest, in your employees' best interest. Donovan, this has been a fabulous conversation on a topic that resonates for every business. And listeners, if it didn't resonate for you, listen to it again, because this is life-changing for everybody involved. And audience members, you know my rules. Don't get left behind. Join me next time.
That's it for today's episode of Disrupt and Innovate.